All right, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. Gonna just wait a couple of minutes here before we get started this morning. Give everyone a chance to get into the room. Hey, 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 what's going on, Blair? All right, we're gonna get started here in just one more moment. Jesse, love the emojis. Totally appropriate and amazing. All right, we're ready to go. It's a little weird. All right, traders, let's do it. So this morning we have U.S. equity markets selling off again, and we're seeing definitely risk off once again entering the markets. I'm going to go ahead and just extend this little channel I have because so far, as you can see, price over here, this goes all the way back to here. This is where this channel is coming from. And you can see that as price broke into the channel, it kind of was in play. Then we peaked over there, broke down out of it, peaked there again. So for what it's worth, it's in play. Uh, Interesting to see what happens this session, whether or not we break down to the downside over here. If we do, then obviously I think we come back down and test towards this 292 level, 2920 level. And if that's happening, then what I what I think is happening is that the equity markets are trying to push the Fed, who's meeting shortly. When's the date? I believe it's the third week, right there on the 18th of March, pushing them for a 0.5% rate cut, which is entirely possible. Pretty crazy. The yields are definitely down today, 10-year, and you're seeing that reflected in the euro US dollar, which traded all the way up almost till the highs of Monday. This is Monday or Tuesday. This is on Monday, and I'm sorry, Tuesday. And then so far it's just come off a little bit, maybe about 15, 20 pips in the past 20 minutes. Let's see what the New York traders do today. The markets remain volatile, very volatile. uh, by the way, we did that video on support and resistance, and it's not really a science. I really believe it's more of an art. You can see over here I have this resistance level right over there, which I suppose is support right now. But here's the thing. Look over here at this touch over here and this touch over here. You could see that's also providing some resistance, right? So you got to be a little bit flexible. The reason I drew this in is because this one down here was providing resistance and then support and then resistance. So they're both in play. So this becomes more of like a blue box area for me. This is an area of resistance. If we break through to the upside, you could see that I have another one up here. I have it in, I would say it's about 1.239. So there's a lot of supply overhead here. Nevertheless, the euro remains, whether it's carry trades being unwind or is money being flowing back to Europe, whatever it is, I'm not sure. But if you do step back, maybe do this on a weekly time frame, right? Well, here's my beloved trend line, right? I didn't even know that was there, but you got to break above that. And let's see, stepping back over here, you could see this, all this supply overhead. There's a lot of work to do here. And when you see these type of sharp moves, I'm not saying the momentum can't continue, but I continue holding my short over here. I do. Hey, there we go. What's up? What's going on, everyone? Billy Boy, Mima, excuse me, Mata, MHB, Rustin, Peter, Hokie Hokie. Great to see all y'all. You bring a smile to my face. Definitely bring a smile to my face. That's great to see you all. Danielle? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the markets continue to be very jumpy, very erratic, but at the same time offering a lot of opportunity. Let me jump over into Bitcoin because Bitcoin's now at an important area. I was looking for this test of 91, and I don't know what happens from here. I don't know if it's rejected off of this resistance because you could see this area of resistance support. It's a big area, and we're trading into it now. So there's the possibility we get rejected and continue consolidating. At that point, I would think maybe a test down to between 8,700, 8,088 is where we move to next. Or if we get back into here, it's possible we consolidate between the top of this range and the support over here. So I'm very undecided what happens next on Bitcoin. Um, so it's at an important area, and it's just very, it could go either way. I have no idea what's going to happen. Got to get above this resistance over here at 94.75 in order to have a bullish bias towards it again. But the bearish bias has completely been erased. And that's because of the cycle and where we're at in the cycle. Again, I strongly felt 85 was going to hold, and definitely 82, and so far that continues to be the case. Gold is looking pretty nice today, rightfully so, right? Again, the thing about gold, what makes it difficult right now is look at this big move we saw. We all know where it goes from here. To be honest, I'm not sure. Gold is just one of those things you need to hold some, you need to own some. It needs to be a portion of your portfolio, and it's insurance money, right? And hopefully you never have to sell that. Hopefully you could pass that on to the next generation. But as far as trading gold, um, listen, if I was a better trader, I would have picked some up down here. Um, if I was a better trader on this breakout, instead of selling, uh, you know, I after 30, $40, I would have held it up much higher. Right now it's just a little jumpy, and I don't know what to do with it or make of it. All right. Let's look at it. Let's look at everything, right? Ooh, DXY here. This doesn't look good, taking out the lows of earlier in the week on Tuesday, but it is pushing down right now. I think it's really essential to see what New York does with it today, this morning. We'll keep watching. Uh, you know, Again, you're into a big area of supply over here. I would be really sincerely surprised if this support down here broke. But bigger picture, we've been in this range between 100 and 95, and that range continues. Um, it's a little weird with this risk off environment to see gold selling off, and probably largely has to do with the sell off in the equities. With right now the U.S. on the trajectory of continually lowering rates. ECB is not really in the picture right now. We haven't heard from them. They've been kind of quiet. Um, we'll continue to see what happens, but at the end of the day, the U.S. dollar is going to, I believe. Excuse me, one second. All right, sorry about that. Swato, Mamima, let's take a look at both of them. So, boom, boom. He said that the U.S. dollar, that the Canadian dollar was strengthening up this session after yesterday's 50% interest rate cut. Interesting. So let's take a look. Oh, that's the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Let's look here first at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Um, so yesterday we had the 50% rate cut. Price has been appreciating afterwards. It's close to making yearly highs. There's not much to say about this. Even with the dollar index kind of weak, it's stronger than the Canadian dollar. You have oil a little bit bid today. I believe I haven't checked it out. No, it's down 0.5%. It must have been bid earlier in the session. And with OPEC coming in to cut, I remain very bearish on the Canadian dollar. The plate was yesterday, right here. You got to wait. There's nothing else to do here, but there's no one that should be looking to fade this at all. The trend is towards the dollar. Canadian dollar remains weak. There's going to remain pressure on oil, but as far as getting into a trade right now, it's not the time. You got to buy off support, right? And you've lost your opportunity. If you pull up the true trend, you notice that the entry CCI is now overbought towards the uptrend. So you got to wait on that. New Zealand dollar. We'll go down to the 4-hour 1 second, but you can see so far it has been rejected over here into this strong resistance over here. And price is during this session starting to make lower lows during the London session. So yeah, I mean, until you get once you get above this resistance, if you get above it, you got another strong area of resistance. So right here, this looks like a good place to sell. But on the 4-hour, let's check it out. If you're trading on the 4-hour, you've come off pretty far pretty quickly, unless Mima, you took the short already. So it's a little tricky. I would definitely be short here and leaning short. My instinct is watching the U.S. equity markets for a sharp rebound. If we see a sharp rebound there, then perhaps risk starts getting a little bit bid as well, and this could turn around. So if you're taking this short here, though, I don't know where your take profits are, right? Are we going to come in and make new lows? I honestly don't think so yet. I think it's going to be, what I have in my mind is it's going to be a couple weeks or at least a week until the US really starts testing for the coronavirus. And then we're going to see the cases jump up rapidly. And that could really send some risk off into the markets. We're seeing risk off today for sure. We'll get into the Japanese yen penny. I have no idea what they're doing today, whether the risk is there. But this looks to me like it might be starting to consolidate, right? If I put my mouse right here, I have support. It's kind of trading into that support right now. You see, I have that support right here, starting here. And then over there, it was resistance. So this area you're in right now looks to me like support, which means to me that we might consolidate over here between these two areas. If you start breaking down further, then it could maybe extend. That's my best look at it, Mima. Kevin, Jesse, let's take a look at them both. Wow. US dollar, Mexican peso trading back up towards earlier in the week's highs. So just look at the beauty here, though. Look at the breakout of the trend line, right? It's a trend line going back to September of 2019. And then you could see the breakout, the retest, and now we're resuming upwards. So pretty cool to look at. Jesse, let's take out the Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, which I assume got wrecked yesterday. I didn't look at it. I don't have any lines drawn in here whatsoever. I'm going to start on the daily. I mean, this looks terrible. Someone in the chat was looking at this one yesterday. That's where I would, this looks terrible, right? This looks absolutely terrible, and it looks like we're going to push down to much lower lows. Not much else to say. This looks really terrible. And I would expect that definitely in the current environment, we're going to see much lower lows or over here. So yesterday was probably the day to take advantage of getting to a trade after the rate cut. We've come down pretty far as as chasing it down here. No, I wouldn't, if you're not, I wouldn't sell down here by any means. I would be looking right that this downtrend will continue, but it's more of a question of waiting for pullbacks, using the entry CCI as a tool so that you make sure that you're entering this trade when the market becomes overbought in the downtrend, and looking that as a guide to enter. Euro Australian dollar. Of course, all time. Peter, that's such a complicated question that I'll talk about in 1 second, and I could only give my views, and that's kind of an enigma. So here the euro is acting super strong. Australian dollar's weak. I didn't even look at it yet. It was the strongest pair yesterday. Wow, look at the Australian dollar, Swiss franc down over 1%. The wow risk off, Australian dollar, Japanese yen down 1.2%. So I mean, I wouldn't chase this up here. I really would not chase this up here. Meaning, looking for any resistance. Still got a little bit higher before you come into some big area of resistance over here. Nevertheless, I would not be looking to chase this up here. It looks like the trade's already happened, and I would be looking, if I was in this trade, perhaps to be taking profit a little bit higher into this area of supply. But this is difficult to trade. I'm not going to lie. That's difficult to trade over there. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Mexican peso, US dollar is weird in that when you see the dollar coming off like it is today, for whatever reason, it seems to appreciate versus the Mexican peso. Look at this move over here. This is when the dollar got wrecked, yet it strengthened versus the Mexican peso, right? What to make of it? I don't know. I know that the Mexican peso is also a carry trade, funding trade. I also know that I believe for all of Latin America, the Mexican peso is actually also a funding currency. So I don't really understand the specifics of it. But what I have observed is that when you're seeing dollar strength, the peso strengthens versus the Mexico peso. And when you're seeing dollar weakness, the dollar is stronger than the Mexican peso. So it's been a little bit weird of late. That's what's been happening these past couple of weeks. So, I don't know. I don't know why that is. Martin, what's going on? All right, we need to do I need to get a feel here of the whole market, which I don't have. So I need to start and just run through some pairs so I have a better feeling of what's going on here. All right, I'm gonna go from top down. So pound definitely strengthened a little bit after that weakness we were seeing. Euro is strong today, but pound is holding up relatively well. We were talking about yesterday any opportunity coming back into this area of resistance, if rejected, might be a good place for a short. I still believe that, and that's why I have it at the top here. That's something I'll continue to follow. If we come up testing now after breaking down, this support did not hold. This is now resistance. I do like this trade if this gets rejected here again. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, pretty even today. They're in no man's land between resistance and support. You got two bad currencies fighting it out. At the same time, you're coming into a little bit area right here of support. Um, I would favor the New Zealand dollar at that point. US dollar getting wrecked again versus the Swiss franc. Swiss franc remains to be very strong with good reason in the current global environment. Again, you usually once the Fed starts cutting rates like this, surprise 50% rate cut, things do get worse, a lot worse before they get better. It looks to me as it's a race to zero now, race to getting the U.S. interest rates down towards zero, at which point they're going to be instituting QE. But as far as the Swiss franc's concerned, you look at the Japanese yen really is continuing its push. We noted yesterday that yesterday, as we were seeing a little bit of retrace in the Australian dollar, euro got sold a little bit. We noticed that the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen were consolidating, right? Their leg down. And that was a sign we were looking for a resumption of the trend and a possible next leg down. It happened sooner than I expected. It really did. It really did. But the story is what the story is. Japanese yen and Swiss franc remain very strong. Euro also remains very resilient. Is up into an area definitely where I am comfortable selling it. We are in new territory though. We'll see what happens. Pound New Zealand dollar, pound acting obviously pretty strong over here. I know that we were looking at this is an area to buy, but not much to say over here, kind of in no man's land. This looks good. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar has now come back off of the resistance back into this area of support. This looks like an area to perhaps look to pick in over here and look for a buy. This looks good. This goes to the top of the list over here. This looks like an area, if we get the resumption off of this support now, this looks like an area to step in and buy the Australian dollar versus the New Zealand dollar. Either one of two things is going to happen. We're going to actually enter the trade if price takes us into it, come over here and finally break through this resistance. And then this may be a great trade, or we get back below this area of support and we know that the trade is back into the range and there's nothing happening. So that looks pretty good. Euro, a beast, a Canadian dollar weak. This trade continues to pay off. Above this area now of resistance, right? So it looks like she's into the new range and probably will come up and test a little bit higher over here. It looks about 80 pips higher. She has the potential to test next. So unless the euro winds up getting sold hard today during New York, which doesn't look like, it's only 10 pips off the highs, equity markets about 5 minutes for opening are trading at their lows. So that looks like that has the chance to continue. Interesting here, Australian dollar, Swiss franc. I'm not a bottom picker. If I was, I'm interested in picking over here. Actually right now where it is, you can see as you came back into this little area over here, this would be support. Your stops over here. Are you going to come back and test this trend line? It's entirely possible, but you have strong risk off today. You have strong Swiss franc, strong Japanese yen. Equity markets are being sold hard. Nevertheless, again, if I were a bottom picker, I would like that. Again, there's a lot of people coming in. Euro's very strong. Swiss franc is very strong. They're kind of playing stalemate. We believe the Swiss bank is intervening over here, which is exactly why you don't want to get involved. This remains, sell long term any rallies, especially that the euro has appreciated so strongly over this past week, 10 days. Because I don't know how much umph it has left in it. And not to say that we can't trade to much higher levels. We can, but it's come pretty far pretty quick. We already looked at the euro. Australian dollar, and Australian dollar getting hit today. Euro so strong, but again, there's no way I'd be chasing it up here. At the same time, I wouldn't look at to be selling. Just stand aside. Up over 1% on the day already. That's a lot. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Canadian dollar pushed a new leg down here. Let's take a look at this as far as deeper perspective. Ultimately, it's pretty clear. Same thing on the Swiss franc that I believe Jesse was looking at. I think we're going to see much lower levels over here. The Japanese yen, in order to negate this strength, this trend of strength that it has put in, it needs to on the US dollar, Japanese yen break 109.71. It's a long ways from that right now. I really think what's going to happen is that we're going to see cases rise in the US. That's really going to cause risk off. I think that you're going to continue to see this being sold. That being said, this is coming off of, in the last 24 hours, a 50% rate cut. Prices moved down pretty far. So, the opportunity has passed, and it's a question of waiting. Here's another look, MEMA at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Again, it's into this area of that I would call support. In order to make another leg down, it's really got some work to do. I think it's going to consolidate over here. I move back towards the up part of that range. As I'm watching the US equity market open right now, I think we're going to see some volatility with the futures down this much. We could get, 0.5%, 1% moves pretty rapidly, pretty quickly. I would like to see what happens then with New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar. I think we need the equity opening to lean into. Pound has been relatively pretty strong after the weakness we've seen over the last 2 weeks, and it's consolidating over here again. If I were a bottom picker, this looks like an area that it could hold over here and look for a retest at least into this area of resistance. I haven't looked at it. The New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, but I gave that up too early, huh? I thought I made such huge profits. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, and New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. This is down another percent now. Trading, that's where I took profit actually. It's pretty good. All right, euro. Nope, I got some more. There we are. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Also getting wrecked, but again, these look like an area where they could stabilize. You know, I feel like this session we're going to see the Japanese yen come off. That's my instinct. All right. If you're in the trade, if you're short any Japanese yen pair, you know better than me. I'm not short them at all. But I would be absolutely looking to watch price action this session, as all of them seem to be in an area where it's possible they could hold, and be looking to protect those profits. Of course, it's possible that we push down. Of course, it's entirely possible we push down further. I'm not in the trade. You know better than me. Euro, New Zealand dollar. It looks better here than versus the Australian dollar. The euro definitely looks very strong over here. It looks like we're going to be pushing and challenging the highs over here. I wouldn't chase either one of them at these levels, but I would say out of the two, definitely the euro, New Zealand dollar looks like a better trade than the euro, Australian dollar. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, weird, right? Canadian dollar stronger than the Australian dollar after that 50% rate cut, coming into that resistance, then trading over. Huh. That's a tough one. That's a tough call. You can see over here this area of support, prices trading into it right now. I would say if it breaks down over here, that I would like to be positioned short here for sure. But after coming off this resistance, Now you're coming into an area over here that is providing an area of possible support and to watch. So it makes it tricky. Nothing's clear in the markets. Last week, everything was so clear, quote unquote, easy. And things are not that way right now at all. So Australian dollar, US dollar, same thing. I genuinely think that we're going to come up and test back towards this resistance area over here. But same thing over here, this little bit of support over here, right? If that gives way, and then if we start making lower lows or below that, then this could come down and test towards the low of the supply of this last move over here. But man, I don't like to be counter trend at all, but I feel like this is a strong chance of holding from where it is at the current levels. US dollar, Canadian dollar continues to look technically beautiful after the breakout of the trend line into the resistance. Trend line held back up, challenging the high and the resistance, broke out, came back in, tested it, and now is resuming off of it. This remains long-term buy US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. Any opportunities to buy off of support or using the enter CCI as a guide when price becomes oversold is the way to go on that. 100%. Here we got right now 3 minutes, and US equities are now trading towards their lows. It's going to be jumpy. Interesting here, man. I say oh man because when we were up here I really wanted to sell this so strongly. Again, so it's so funny that you have two strong currencies, and euro is the one of them. That's the way it's been. We're now at an area over here of support. It could go either way, right? You're at this area, price is directly on it. You could see it better from the daily. This is a pretty important area. Price, if the euro starts selling off, Japanese yen remains strong. We could see much lower lows. And vice versa, if the euro weakens over here, if the Japanese yen weakens at this area, this will give the opportunity for the euro to retrace a little bit against it. I would look to sell long term, absolutely. I missed the area up here, so now it's a question of seeing if we come back into this area and make it a little bit stronger now. This is definitely in play, and if we come back into there, that's an area that I would be interested in long-term selling at these levels. Strong bulls. All right. See, the pound is showing some strength versus everything over here. Just look at these 3 pound pairs. Pound's up. Huge versus the Australian dollar. After we talked about this yesterday. After the pound regained there, pound looks good. Now, as we come up into this first area of resistance, I don't think it's price so far peaked at it, but I think this one is obviously much stronger because this is the area that's provided resistance for quite a while. But nevertheless, pound looks good. The only thing I could say is perhaps it looks like it's making a broadening wedge like that, right? So which would mean as we get towards the top of this area, that would be a good area to sell. But right now, as it's bounced off this area of trendline support, it's coming into the mid area, but it looks pretty good. There's nothing bad about the pound right now, that's for sure. We wanted to see US dollar, Japanese yen. It looks ugly, right? Here you are, you're into this area of support. See, I was noticing that the yen looks like it's in an area of support everywhere. Even here versus the US dollar, it's in an area of support. All right, you can see that touch over here, this broadening area over here, again over here, and here we are right now. So obviously, it does look like the yen. This could be the extent of the move for now. But there's no way that I would trade the counter trend over here. But the only thing I'm focused on this pair though, I remain very bullish towards all Japanese yen pairs up until this trend line over here and this area, this big level that we looked in order to get strong Japanese yen minded, the 109.71 level. Those are the areas that I'm looking at as far as to think at any point in time when it's time to change my view on the yen. But if we're going to break this support today, we'll see, right? It's an important area to watch. We will get further follow through on all yen pairs. If we do, they're all at that important area. But it's a big area of support. I see the support on all Japanese yen pairs at the moment. Yep. Let me first look at Rustin's Euro Norwegian. Hold on one second. Oof. This looks very similar to what we're seeing happen on the Euro New Zealand dollar. This looks a little bit even better. But as hard as it is to trade the Euro New Zealand dollar, the Euro Australian dollar right now at these levels, it's almost the same exact pattern, and I feel the exact same way. It's so first of all, this is an important area. All right, as long as you're above there, you're bullish, right? You're into an area of supply over here in the near term. We've come hard and fast. The euro is super strong and remains so. But listen, it looks like the reverse of what you're seeing on the Japanese yen pairs. You're seeing this little area over here, right? You get below that over here, there's no question we're coming back down and testing this over here. It's very bullish. I just can't imagine if you're not already long this pair, getting long over here. It's a tough one. It's very tough, and I'm seeing that all over the place. I'm seeing that all over the place. Everything seems very uncertain, right? Again, last week, the week before, things were just so certain. They're not like that right now. What is this, Peter? I'm not sure what this pair is. Danish krone. That looks pretty ugly. That looks pretty ugly. I'm not familiar. I don't even know if I ever looked at a chart before of the Danish krone. I don't think I ever have looked at a chart before. I have no insight into this whatsoever. That's the best I could do. I have absolutely no insight into this whatsoever. You know, I could just go blindly off of support and resistance, but I really have nothing to offer here, Peter. I'm so sorry. Now, euro British pound does look like something that's very interesting over here, especially as after we didn't hold this area, broke through this broken resistance, it didn't hold that support, and now we're coming back up testing it. I do like getting short the euro British pound over here if we get an entry signal off of this resistance. And if you step back over here, you see this is pretty high level here on the euro British pound. This is very attractive to me. I actually have it at the top of my list, along with the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. And for a long over here, as long as this area of support holds, let me fix that right there. And both these trades are the only two trades that I see any type of clarity on that I'm interested in so far. Everything else seems pretty counter trend. And you're seeing that euro come off a little bit now this session. You're seeing the US equities making those. So weird that this little channel that I had from back here has become so relevant in this area, but it has, and we remain in this channel, as you could see. And Wilford, Alberto, what's going on? Those 11 bearish candles don't look good on the US. They don't look good at all. Dude, we'll go back to it, Peter. First of all, if I do not have a clear insight and opinion on something, I will never give I will never give my opinion, right? At all, ever. I can't do that. And it's not often that I do say that. I have said it a few times about certain things, and this is one of them. Do I think this is sustainable here? First of all, I don't know why the Danish krone has been appreciating so strongly versus the dollar. So, I could offer opinions of why the euro has been appreciating versus the dollar. And we've all talked about that extensively because the US equity markets are down, and you're seeing capital taking out of the US equity markets, returning to Europe, and therefore, purchasing euros. I don't know why the Danish krone has made such a move on the US dollar, but why it looks ugly, and it looks so ugly at the same time, right? We are into an area over here of support, right? So you can watch what happens over there. Is it possible we blow through here? Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is that normally when you break a support or resistance level, you burst through. You don't bleed slowly through it, right? And price is having trouble continuing over there. Second thing, step back a little bit further. There's the next area of support. If we do break through that you're looking for, right? So this is still a strong uptrend, right? This is a very strong uptrend. Step back further, not so much. Well, yeah, step back further, it's a very strong uptrend. Yeah, so in my mind here, I remain a US dollar bull at the moment. We talked about the levels we would need to lose on the US dollar for me to turn bearish on the dollar. This looks like buying opportunity here for me. And if this first area that we're at right now, if support doesn't hold, if price doesn't retrace off of it, get another better look down over here. But this is too soon, way too soon to consider here that the tide has changed. Actually, it looks like a really good opportunity to get long the dollar here. Again, you know how to play this. It's very easy. Price needs to prove itself by making higher highs off the support. If it does, this looks like a beautiful area to get long the US dollar. If we lose this level, hang out, wait. You got another chance down here at this support. If we lost this support over here, okay, then we'll reassess because maybe on the DXY, we're losing our, by the way, I think we need to extend this channel over here. All right, we got some pretty strong support coming up on the dollar index. We're at an area of supply right now. I'm not betting against dollar. This is a place to pick up dollars, I believe. Especially with what happens when the global economy enters a recession and or crisis. The flows go to the dollar. I'm definitely still a dollar bull here. All right, hold on one second. There's so many great comments to catch up on. I want to see what is going on with you all so I can do it. Yeah. All right. Let me start with the easy stuff. For uh, First of all, Jesse, we could talk about that in a little bit. Um, but why we're there, Jesse? We'll definitely, and then we'll touch on the euro US dollar and the pound Japanese yen. Just to check in though, so far markets are up about 0.25%, maybe a little bit more since they're open. That channel remains in play. Euro is down to its lowest level that it's been over the past hour to 90 minutes. Jordan remains a dollar bull. Jesse, you probably already checked it out. If you didn't, there's two videos here. If you go to the Bitcoin playlist.
Hi, everybody, and
Right?
welcome back.
This video is awesome. It's actually the most viewed video on the channel, and there's a good reason for that. It is super informative. It's super important, and it's only 12 minutes. Watch this video. You watch these two videos, and I truly believe that you become, your insight and knowledge of Bitcoin is probably stronger than most people you'll walk into a room with. All right. Watch this first video and then watch this video with the funky thumbnail, the blue one right here in the white. It's at what price will you sell your Bitcoin during the next bull cycle? That's only 8 minutes. Watch those two videos and then we'll talk more. All right, let's move over and check out. We'll talk about the euro US dollar in 1 second. Let's check out the pound Japanese yen because I'm interested to see how the pound, how the yen has been holding up these last 20 minutes. So let's start here with the pound Japanese yen. And again, when I say again, well, first of all, step back. Here's an area of support. Where you draw that in? I think down here. Let me draw it in actually. All right, why I picked over there. Raise that up a tiny bit. Why I want to stay up. I have the support right here and the resistance right there. So that looks like the area that I want to draw in. I didn't know when I drew it in, but that's where we currently bottomed out over here. Do I think that's a long-term bottom? That I don't know at all. I don't think so. But right now, you could see over here also this little bit of local resistance providing support now. And I think, because I see this on all the Japanese yen pairs, this looks like an area that might hold. We might come up and test this resistance first. Pound looks pretty decent today. There's a bid behind it. Japanese yen has this pattern on every single pair right now. So I believe there's a possibility this consolidation continues. And I believe you're between support and resistance, kind of in no man's land, although over here with a tiny bit of a bullish bias. But I don't pick bottoms, and I will not take this trade counter trend trade, nor do I think anyone should. The euro US dollar. To keep it simple and easy, downtrends, you're looking to sell off resistance. Is this a resistance? This is consolidation, right? You got, I don't even know this first line. Yeah, this is a good resistance line right above. So if we get another look at here, okay. If we get another look at here, great. If we break this support, then you look for the retest of that broken support as resistance to sell it. Right here, you're in no man's land. No man's land is no good. The euro is still holding up extraordinarily well. towards the top of this range. This is heavy resistance. Do I think it'll break over here? You said 1.24. Just want to check out a monthly chart or a weekly chart, by the way. Do I think I do? So let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. I do not think we break higher than 1.135. I don't think that. And therefore, I think all of this is an opportunity to get short the euro US dollar. I do think, all right, this is going to get crazy. You guys don't hear me speak crazy very often. I do believe we trade down to this chart doesn't go back all the way. I would say to 0.8 on the euro US dollar. I do believe that, right? In the near term, I'm looking at levels more like maybe maybe 1.05. That sounds you know, reasonable to me. So at this point up here, I really like taking opportunity to get short here on the euro US dollar. Right now, I'm not a fool. The current momentum is definitely highly geared toward the euro. I see all that happening. How much longer it has left in it, I don't know. That remains to be seen, right? You're into an area of strong supply over here right now. Over the past, year, when it hasn't held these levels very long at all. So anytime the euro has appreciated, it hasn't really held that long. That's what I'm hoping will happen again. But euro strong. Yeah, you got wrecked. I 100% agree with that. And the most important flows that I see right now is that correlation between the S&P and the euro. And on the market's going to stabilize here, as we're down into this. I have no idea. None of us would be surprised if the markets all of a sudden started coming in making lower lows. No question about it. It does appear that it has a possibility of stabilizing. This channel over here is providing a good look. We're down towards the support right now. So again, nothing in the market appears to be clear or easy right now. And there's no question I'm not involved. I think we touched on it in the newsletter yesterday. The most important things to watch right now are first of all China. As people start going back to work right now. It'll be an amazingly hopeful and great sign if there's no further escalations in infections. God knows what the numbers are. Thank God Peter is there and safe. But we have no idea what the real numbers are. And as long as we don't see what appears to be any type of escalation over there, I would say that's pretty positive. At the other hand, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a huge escalation inside the United States. And, we have the Fed meeting on the 18th. And I think the market is going to try and push the Fed to lower rates. So it's tough right now, everyone. It's tough. I don't see it. But you got wrecked. I don't feel like the Macron gap. Let's look at that for a second. I don't think it was closed either. So, and that's not to say that we should go back and close it because I'm not a real big believer in that. But where did the gap happen? Right here. All right. So the close on this Friday was at, hold on. The close was at 1.07246. So that's where I believe, the gap is. 107.246. We traded down to a low of 107.79. So 107.2. We missed it by a good 50 pips. Good 50 pips. I don't think that's closed. I don't really think that means anything because that was a couple of years ago. So who's to say? It could be another couple of years before we close it. Obviously, I don't think that's what the situation is or the case is. And if you step back even further, you could see all of this supply over here, back into that area. This is getting to the area where long term, I think it's a really good opportunity to look in and lean in and sell the euro. This is not normal price behavior. What we're seeing in the markets is not normal either. So if the U.S. markets continue to sell off, will that correlation between the S&P and the euro US dollar hold? There's a good chance that's going to hold, and the euro could trade higher. Trump's pushing for a weak dollar, but the White House has the power through the Treasury to actually intervene in the dollar. So first of all, the Federal Reserve is its own foreign entity and really does not care at all what the president uh, thinks. Actually, the more the president pushes the Powell, the more of a chance that Powell acts contrary to the president to show that he doesn't. The president has no authority over him. That got him into big trouble when he raised rates in December of 18, which caused all this trouble. There's no way the Fed should have done that. I think they were doing that to act out of the interests of the President Trump, and it got us into all this trouble. It was a big, big, big misstep. The Fed is worried about keeping the house of cards, our financial system, simply afloat, which is really in a precarious situation right now. The only reason the Fed is cutting is because there's the only way they could counteract the damage being done by the coronavirus on a financial system that is almost already on the brink. So, if the dollar got to a level where it was affecting Trump's chances of reelection, then the U.S. Treasury and the White House would step in to intervene. But I think, Wilford, for sure, the Fed is acting in its own interest, and I'm pretty certain that the powers that be that do run the Federal Reserve are not fans of President Trump. Yep, no question about it. There's a lot of bullish momentum here on the euro. Um, no question about it. Do you want to play that versus the dollar, or do you want to play it versus the weaker commodity currencies, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar? That's a whole nother question, right? But versus the dollar, I don't, you know. So even with the yields being cut on the dollar here, they're still higher than everything else. We're coming back in here. We're testing an area over here of this trend line, of this bull flag breakout. We're coming back in and testing that trend line. We're coming into this area of support down here of 97 on the DXY. Now, what level is that? 96.71. You're right. We're getting close to there. we have to give up this 96 level for me to get concerned and worried. But really, it's 95, which we've held now for a long time, and we've been in this range between 95 and 100. I think we're going to break to the upside. But the euro has got a strong bid behind it. Absolutely, no doubt. I think that's because of the equity markets. I've shown you that yesterday, that correlation, which remains so high. We got to give up. If we give up this support over here and start selling off, we're already off 2% though. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? At that point, I think the euro would definitely break out and test up at 1.12239. But if it doesn't, I think the euro is going to come back down and test the support of yesterday down over here. I'm sorry, not even all the way down here. No, where was yesterday's move? Right there. That was the low of yesterday. That's where I'm looking for us to come back down and test if the equities do firm up over here, right? Of course, if we break out, we're coming up and we're testing over here at 1.239. If we break out, right? But buying into a resistance over here before the breakout, that's something that I highly discourage. It's, that's something that I highly discourage. There's no reason after the moves already happened. Buying off support yesterday, well, that's one thing, right? Or buying on this break over here of this resistance, that's another. But buying over here into this resistance, that's a low probability play. And watch for the break first before getting involved there. I think they're backed by very poor fundamentals. I agree with you 100% there, Wilford. 100%. I think right now you're seeing that strength. It's just capital inflows, money coming out of the U.S. equities, and then being brought home to the EU and purchasing euros. That's not going to last, in my opinion, at all. So the pound US dollar is coming up into an area of resistance over up here and stronger right over here. It's held and took back. I have a better look on this chart over here. Let me come over here. Let me delete this one. There you go. This is a very important support level. Pound faked below it, wound up regaining it, and now it is roaming back upwards. I think that you're coming into an area of resistance, so I'd be aware. How far we'll go, I don't know. I think what I see is a couple of things, but I definitely see like a broadening wedge over here. I guess it's not broadening into the upside though. There you go. There you go. So you're into an area, you're in no man's land between the high and the low right now, almost in the middle, and you're into an area of resistance. So if we do see some dollar strength come into the market, because the dollar is at some areas of support where it's entirely feasible, we do see dollar strength, then this is a good place to sell the pound over here against the dollar. And that will not be so reflective of the pound as it will be of dollar strength. Or if the dollar continues to weaken and we do get up into this area over here, this is like an area where you want to sell, right? Because you have this strong resistance, and then you have this. I'm going to draw that in better for us. That trend line over here looks like a broadening wedge over here, and any area over here is an opportunity to sell. Is this an area to sell over here? Yep. If we're rejected and the dollar starts strengthening all around, you could also take a sell over there. Would I be looking to buy the pound versus the dollar? I wouldn't. And I wouldn't. I would just let it, if it continues to rise, look for a better opportunity to sell it. Yeah, the momentum, you got right. The momentum is against the dollar right now. I mean, listen, it's so important to take a look around you. I know that we're all programmed, rightfully so, to be looking for opportunity, but that opportunity is not always clear and is not clear right now. That's for sure. So you need to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more picky, and definitely, which a lot of people lack, is that patience, right? There's that time to jump in, and there's that time when things are clear, and not only to jump in a little bit bigger and take advantage. There's a time to press, and then there's a time when things are erratic and jumpy. They've been like this way all week, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunity because pairs are moving. The ranges are fantastic. That makes it great for trading. Day traders paradise, right? It's been fantastic. Or people are getting slaughtered out there, depending. I don't know, but for me, everything remains a little bit unclear. Um, I do, if you're I like here the pound versus the euro. If you're interested in the pound, the dollar has come off pretty far, pretty hard. It's at an area where it could firm up, hit some support. The euro has come up very far also, though. If you think that the market is going to continue at this type of trajectory, that doesn't really happen too often. You know, it could happen during a crisis, and maybe we're entering a crisis, but I don't think so. Um, this looks like an area over here that looks attractive for me. Uh, Buying the pound off of against the euro. Should we resume off this resistance over here? Right now we're trending upwards. Price is closed at up bar during London. Right now it's still trading up. If this reverses down, I like this to the short side. Uh, yeah, so you know, so the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, Wilford. Before I get into the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, I mean, it's I love when anyone is able to be self-aware and understand themselves, because that provides the greatest opportunity for improvement, right? And every single one of us, is all we're looking to do is constantly improve and better our performance. If you do not have that mindset, if you do not have that motivation to keep improving, to keep pushing yourself, to keep focused, you're going to get wrecked out there. There's no question about it. Unless you're giving everything, and unless your only goal is to keep improving, you have no chance. And the way to improve is the biggest way to improve is to find out and be self-aware of your biggest errors or your biggest faults, and work on those first before you get to fine tuning, right? So a glaring obvious indication, for example, of patience. I know that I don't have that patience to wait for a trade to come to me and I enter the market. Well, eventually you're going to come to a point where you'll be tired of losing money, because that's the only thing that will happen doing that over the long run. Think of a casino. A casino knows over time the odds are in its favor. As a trader, you have to think the same way. And if you keep doing this, you're going to lose money. Therefore, you have to make that decision in your head. A switch needs to be turned on. There's no way I take trades outside my criteria ever, period. Even if it's blatantly obvious and I see it, I'm not going to do it, because I know that that discipline is going to pay off more than that lack of discipline. So just focus there, Wilford. That's amazing. It's just without taking the trades, when you see things developing mentally, say, hey, this is setting up like such and such. Here's a place that I would look to enter the trade. You don't have to take it. Wait until things are obvious. They were obvious last week. They were obvious once the US dollar against the Japanese yen took out 109.71, right? It was so obvious then. Things are not obvious right now. So the US dollar, Japanese yen, you could see over here, you could see this, see that support over here, this touch, and then that area over here was this resistance, and then over here it was support. We're back at it. We're at an important support area on the US dollar, Japanese yen. Does that mean that it's not going to break? Absolutely not. You have to watch price as it reacts over here. If it breaks, we're coming down much further on all Japanese yen pairs, and I don't think the US dollar is the pair to play it. I think the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, those are the pairs to play it if we do break further down below here. Use the US dollar, Japanese yen as a barometer for other yen pairs. But all Japanese yen pairs right now are at a similar situation. Do you see the support over here? Now look, I'll show you on the pound Japanese yen. Again, you're at this area of support, and also if I get off the daily over here, you could see it. You're at that area of support, and all Japanese yen pairs right now are in the same situation. So do you sell when you're sitting on support or your US dollar? Do you buy when you're at resistance? Never, right? Never, never, never. The thing to do is wait to see if you break below it. And if you break below it, don't chase the breakdown. Wait for a retest. Make sure that broken support level is now acting as resistance, and then get involved. Right now, you're looking for this support to hold. If price starts resuming off of it, do you take a buy? I won't. The yen is too strong in this environment, rightfully so. It's counter trend, to counter trend. Wait for the retrace. Look to sell in downtrends. US equities firming off a little bit over here. You can see that that continues to hold. We're range bound until we break out of this channel, which you can see the upside resistance, downside support. Once we break down or up, we'll have our clearest indication of what's next. You could use, and you should be using this as a barometer for the Euro US dollar, because the correlation between the two is right now spot on. You could see as we're bouncing off the support, the euro is falling over here. Again, this was resistance. You don't buy into resistance. All right, wait for the breakout if you want to get involved, but you don't have too much room overhead. Tom, so back to basics. Back to basics. Euro US dollar. Back to basics. All right, really quick rundown. This is really important. Pay attention. Focus on the yellow line, this trend line. This was a trend line that went back 5 years, right? All the way here. Focus on this trend line. All right, we broke the trend line. Come to the deli now. We broke the trend line. We got really, really bullish here. Came into the resistance. We had a couple of counter trend traders in here. I remember it well. Blair and Rustin came in here, took the short, paid off very well for them. I did not, right? What I was looking at here is this level 109.71. This breakout I considered to be failed. Not here. This was the first retest of the broken resistance as support. And then you could see here it didn't hold. This became a failed breakout once we took out this 109.71 level here. At that point, you needed to be very, very bullish on the Japanese yen, right? And you need to be bullish once this support broke. I mean, bullish on the yen. So bearish on the US dollar, Japanese yen over here. And this was the opportunity for sales. obviously I would have took profit down here. I did on my Australian dollar and I'm sorry, on my New Zealand dollar Japanese yen trade. Uh, we're coming here making lower lows now, but we're into this support, right? So anyone still holding a short here is right now deciding, what am I going to do? Am I going to give it room to see if price breaks down further, which it absolutely could? And if they do, right, they're going to keep holding, or do they wait to see if price bounces off of here and take profits? But as far as being short, I mean, as far as being long this pair, you can't pick bottoms, and you're in a downtrend. You're in a strong downtrend with a lot of momentum towards the Japanese yen. So why there's the possibility of this support holding, all that we do is look to sell any retraces into resistance, you know. But what the point being, trade with the trend, not against it. In uptrends, buy off support; in downtrend, sell off resistance. And just by starting there, you're going to see your win ratio increase drastically. This is the first thing you need to do in order to turn the corner. Let's see. So OPEC is cutting 1.5 million barrels, and the market's selling off on that news. But oil, if you know, we were just looking at that pattern on the Japanese yen. You see the same thing happening here on oil. You could see now we're coming back in and we're testing that this little bit of local, this was resistance, so now could provide support over here on the upside. So oil selling off on the news. Things are not clear. What I would like to see, and I don't know that we will, is that we actually hold the support and come in and take some further test of resistance, whether it's this level over here or this one extended. Those will be opportunities to sell. I'm very bearish long term here on oil, but listen, in this type of environment, the risk off could continue and just escalate and get stronger and stronger. If we take out the lows over here, at that point, it becomes a momentum play. But right here, right now, that's hard for me. It's just like those Japanese yen pairs. You're coming back down. This looks exactly like the pound Japanese yen, right? Off of the support, coming back up, and now like we're testing this area over here. So as long as this holds, you can't be. I would not look to sell over here because the risk reward doesn't seem too good. Gold is also right tough right now, very very tough. So here, let me talk about it for a minute with you. All right, where was it clear? And we pointed this out, right? Take away all the price from here. Right? This is exactly where gold was clear. We were looking at this pattern. Let me even go back further. All right, gold, ever since it broke this trend line over here, has been in a huge bullish uptrend. All consolidations have been continuations, and gold was trading right here. This is where market's clear. You have this trend line over here, and you have this triangle developing. If it breaks out to the upside, right, you want to be involved after the consolidation. Do you see this consolidating? See this big, huge move up? And then price consolidating, right? And then when it breaks the trend line, this is where I actually got long gold. It was a great trade. I took profits maybe too early. I took profits right around here because that had come up, right towards resistance, and I got shaken out of my trade. I should have, if I was a better trader, been able to hold on and hit a home run. I didn't. Gold came off super down to here. This move, that was normal. Big move up, price starts consolidating the move. This move was not normal. This move was obviously the huge sell-off in the markets we saw last week. This was not normal, but price did hold the bottom, right, of that triangle, of that trend line. You could see that. If I was a better trader, I would have been picking up gold over here, but like everyone else, I was a bit nervous. Actually, yeah, well, I was a bit nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen. But now that prices come back over here, uh, erase this from your mind. Let me watch this. Pretend this didn't happen. Okay. And then focus in on this. Right. So what is happening is price right now is back to consolidating this huge move up, then this down. So price is consolidating over here. All right. This is where I'm focused. I just think gold is going to continue to consolidate over here. And I think that is the base case for gold after this huge volatility. Right. So gold is not really, I'm not looking for, I focus in right now, unless something like this developed, right? This breakout, that was a nice opportunity. The next time a breakout occurs, I'll be involved. But trading gold, no, I prefer trading on the cross pairs rather than gold. But I think gold is going to be consolidating right now and should be consolidating right now. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar in 1 second, and I'm interested to see how it's reacting with that weaker oil. Going back, so you could see we're getting a little bit of bounce. That's what we're looking for. I don't think you buy oil over here. I think you wait for it to see as it consolidates, comes into resistance to look to sell, because the long-term trend for oil should continue to be down with the slowing of the global economy. We're keeping our eyes focused in on China. It's a fluid situation. If a second wave hits there of infections, at that point, limit down, short gold, short oil. But right now we're consolidating some big moves down. You want to look to sell into resistance. Right now, you're towards the area of bouncing off of support, bounced off support, and then this area, this local resistance support so far is holding. It's consolidating. You're waiting, look to sell here. If this holds, you have this level, and a 54. I mean, I don't know that we're going to see that. If we did, that would be something very interested in selling. The trend remains down for oil until we see activity pick up in China, until we see some of that supply on the market eaten away. And so there's a lot of work to do before you could get very bullish on oil. Which brings us to the US dollar, Canadian dollar, which is obviously very reliant on oil. Technically, this looks amazing. When I say technically, this looks amazing, it's because you have over here these trend lines, right? You have the breakout over here. This is when we became bullish into the resistance, rejected, tested the trend line over here. All right. And then we came back up. This is where I took the long, and I did exit up here around 1.339. Came back into the support and is now trading off of it. It looks good, but at this point, you're looking for this trend to continue and probably continue for quite a while, like much higher levels, right? 1.39. But right now, the best bet is waiting and hopefully get another, ideally, I don't know that will happen, another test into the support would be ideal. I think the dollar is going to firm up. I don't see that's going to happen. You can see over here, we came in, this was the local resistance, now testing as support. If this resumes upwards here, this is something that I would consider taking along on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Always, you guys, this community is awesome. And I appreciate giving back what I can. I appreciate, first of all, the thumbs up in here. We got 14. This really helps the Google algorithm know what's going on in here. It helps other people go ahead and see this video as well. Come in here and join us. It brings some new faces in here that add a lot to the community. You know what? And it also shows me that you appreciate the time spent in here with you. So I do thank you for that. But absolutely, I'm all about working together and sharing. Um, and if you're new here, I do appreciate if you go ahead and subscribe to this channel and come spend some time with us. I really do believe and hope that you will, first of all and first most, absolutely improve your trading. Hopefully make some good online friends, and it's a good place to be. Yeah, Euro so far, and the situation remains fluid here. You know, we could if we break this, Martine, if we break this little support area over here, I think the euro is going to break out of that resistance. I don't know what will happen, because look down here. I don't know how far it'll get, the euro. Let's keep this line over here now. That's our first area of support. You could see this pattern we've seen it on oil, we're seeing it here on the US indices, and we're seeing it on the Japanese yen pairs, right? So and euro has some, does it, let me see what this, I don't know why this line is here. There's a little bit of support over here, right? As long as we're above it, you know, you got to have that uber caution of bullish bias. We get back below the support here though, and then I think we're taking another look down here. It's a fluid situation, and I have to be honest, nothing's easy about the markets right now. It's not, nothing's clear. And just don't get caught up in your own biases in this type of situation. You don't place what you think is going to happen and in your bias onto the market. You know, take a step back, really wait for things to develop with clarity before you jump in, and follow what's happening, the price on the charts. Let's see that. Let me take a look at that target. 135. Well, I agree with that. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. There's no question about that. And I also think that it will reach 1365. And I also think it's going to reach 1375. Again, I'm in the dollar bull camp. All right, everyone. We're going to end it short today because I do have an appointment. Great session. Really appreciate all of you spending the time here with me, and I'm grateful for it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm going to be this afternoon, as I've gotten in the habit now of doing daily, sending out the newsletter with the market updates. If you're not already joined, go ahead and check out some of these past posts. And if you want to be informed of what is happening later in the day, go ahead and do join that mailing list. All right, everyone, stay safe. Make sure you are prepared, right? Situation is escalating. The situation of the coronavirus, make sure you are just aware of what's going on. Make sure that you and your family are safe and protected. All right, everyone, have a beautiful day. Talk to you later.